Alrighty guys, good afternoon. You probably seen in my last video where I crawled underneath, showed you where the axle was leaking. And I said I'm just going to order new axles. I'm going to go to Chromoly. Already built. The last ones I pulled out of there. I cut the retention and all the other stuff off of it. Yeah, the bearing and the sleeve and all that to press on new ones. It's just a lot of extra work. So these I built, or I've got already built, and I just got to pull the axle out. So I'll have one spare, one with a bad seal, and that's it. So we got those two in. Let me show you what I have, that all you need to do this. Simple. Let me show you. Alrighty, I got the jack and the jack stand. A guy at work recommended, because I told him I just did the rear fluids and I hate to drain it and waste it and all that. He said, well, you don't have to. Do one at a time, jack it up on this side, let all the fluids run over, and do this side, then they'll go over and do the other side. If you have a garage, lift it and do both, drain the fluid, no big deal, you know, because it's going to drip out the ends. So I'm going to work on this side first, jack it up, put the stand under it to be safe, hold it up in the air, impact just to help pull the lug nuts off, breaker bar to loosen the lug nuts, 18mm for your brake caliper, and then the 4 bolts that hold the axle in place. This here I just need really for the 18mm small socket for your wheel sensor, and that's it. I'll get into it. I'm not going to go into grave detail, but after I do a couple little, you know, take the tire off, I'll show you what bolts I'm taking off, and then we'll go from there. I'll tell you one thing, the hardest part of this is going to be getting this tire back up on there. That's the hard part. Other than that, it's going to be fairly simple because I've already had the axles out. The only time this is really going to cause you problems if you can't get bolts loose, where you got to put penetrating fluid on them, or you got to use a ram shaft to get the axle out. I'll show you that. But other than that, unless you have other complications, it's really simple. I mean, for what it is. And as you see, I'm in my driveway and basic cheap tools, nothing crazy. When I rebuilt the axles, that's where I needed to press and everything like that. But that's the hardest part, getting this thing back on. Okay, let me show you real quick under here. Here is your ABS plug. Ugh. That one right there. I got to get it from the bottom. There we go. Just pop your ABS plug off because you got to pull that little sensor out right down there. Don't take these out to take it off because you still got to get rid of the bracket to get your rotor off, because the bracket's all the way out here. So just take the 18mm here, 18mm down there. Same with these bolts. Once that's out of the way, you'll be able to get these 4. You got one there, one down there, and then one here and one down there. That'll let the whole thing pull out. I could smell the gear lube that's in there. I could smell it. So, all right, that's probably bad camera angles, but you get the gist. So let me get those popped out of there and we'll go from there. Slide that guy off. He's not too wet in there. We're good. You definitely smell it. And I see it. It's a mess. Alright, now I need the 8mm. this, see if this thing will pick up. This guy right here, it's hard to see. That's your wheel anti-lock brake sensor. It goes on this little sprocket guy here, which is all clogged with oil and dirt and everything, and he's all clogged up there. I got to get him out. That's where you need the 8mm. As you see, he is covered in goop, so let's clean him off real good. And then we can take those 4 bolts that hold the whole axle in, and it should slide out. We're going to try it. Might need a slide hammer, but I doubt it. I've already had them out within the past couple years. So that one leaking, it could be my problem where I failed, which is a good chance, or it just failed on its own. I don't know. I don't beat on it that hard, not compared to my friends, so I'm not sure. Somewhere that thing's leaking. Anyway, that's it. Just give it a good tug. Comes out, I'll wipe it down. These are the bolts that were holding it in, like that. So somewhere around there, that seal has failed and it started leaking. All right, now, tricky part is, should be a raceway for the bearing. Oops, it's getting all crooked. There you go. That's the bearing raceway. And that is it. There is no other raceway. Let me show you. Alright, that is it. All the fluid went that way. I cleaned it out really good when I rebuilt the axles. I'm going to make sure there's nothing in there that is critical. Everything else looks pretty good. I mean, it's a little bit of oil and grease in here, some sand, but other than that, it ain't that bad looking. It ain't horrible. So get some of this cleaned up in here, and then we'll slide the new one in. Alrighty, one other thing, guys, real quick. When you slide the new one in here, go easy, because you got to get into your gears on the other side. Got to get into the, through the bearings, into the splines. So don't just jam it in there. You got to go in, pop it up a little bit, poke it in that way. I'll get back with you once I get it back together. I'm not going to bore you with all. It's the same process I just did, just reverse. Put it back in, put the bolts on the back, tighten them down, then do your sensor, wheel sensor, and then put your brake caliper back on. I'm going to clean all this out, sand and all that grime, spray it down real quick. Once I put it together, you don't want brake fluid down in there. So that's it, real simple. Like I told you, it's not a tutorial on how to do it. There's probably a lot better videos on how to exactly to do it, but I am into it maybe a half hour. The hardest part is going to be getting the tire back on, like I told you. And luckily my brake lines, they're braided. They are long enough to where I can rest it on the jack. Otherwise, just tie it like to your sway bar. That'll be good, just so you don't put too much pressure on it. But I changed all mine out to braided lines. Alrighty. Easiest way, put that under there, get it close, pick up on the board. You're not lifting 100 pounds. That's coming from a fat old guy. Do not run them in with the impact gun, even though it's a piece of crap. Alright, then we'll go to the second one. Simple. I mean, within 45 minutes, done. And like I said, the hardest part is if you have complications, can't get the axle out, bolts are stuck, things like that is when it's tough. But I already knew I had it apart a couple years ago, so it shouldn't have been that bad. A little bit of a tug and I got it out, no big deal. The other one went in, but it's real tight. I'm not sure if that's because the other one was bad, I don't know, but we're going to take it for a test drive and see after I get the other side done. Alrighty guys, what the heck is on the lens? I don't know. Alrighty guys, I am back. Did it for a little test drive. Sounds great. No grinding, no nothing like that. I looked underneath, didn't see any leaks. I've got a little bit of cleanup. That is about it. I already put the sockets away, the breaker bar to tighten the wheels down. And as for cost, yes, it is much cheaper to buy just the seal kit with the bearing and the collar, because you got to cut all that off with a cutting wheel. I did that with the last ones. To when I rebuilt the axle, I cut the bearing off, cut the collar, you break off the seal, put all that back on. If you have a press, I have a press. I have access to a press. I don't have one. You can press it back on, stick them back in, and I think the kits are like 60 bucks a pop. So it'd be about 120, but I wanted to beef up the axle shaft anyway. And let me tell you, doing it with it already pre-done, pop one out, slam the other one in, huge difference. I want to say for a set of the chromoly, you're looking at $550, right in that ballpark. All pre-made, everything. All you got to do is pop them in. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Real quick, I didn't do an in-depth of how to do it, but there's a lot of videos out there. But I pretty much showed you all you have to do to pop out the rear. So that's it. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Talk to you guys later.